Is this the Hobby Lobby case? Or?
Well, there's Hobby Lobby as well, and I'm adding the Little Sisters to the report to the mix.
I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill. Okay, bear with me. So there's, I think, 25 types of contraception that this insurance covers. And I believe in the case there's 4 that are problematic for Hobby Lobby. This could be simply dealt with and solved with the government simply saying, yeah, we understand. We'll pay for those 4. Solved. Okay, so let's just get over ourselves. I mean, come on. And if they don't do that, they're dumb.
They're dumb.
Yeah.
They haven't done that. By the way, I don't think, Ben, that's a perfectly, in other words, for people, rather than suing Hobby Lobby and compelling them to pay for the abortofacients, if President Obama wanted to say, I'm going to go to the House of Representatives and see if we can get an appropriation so we will pay for it.
No, I agree.
It wouldn't work, but he could try.
So I want to come back to the Hobby Lobby case, too, because I think it beautifully illustrates the point I was making earlier about trade-offs between people's deeply held religious values. And because I think ultimately in that case, the question you have to ask is, which is a more core spiritual value? Being able to make your own decisions in consultation with yourself, your clergy, and your God, if you believe in God, at the beginnings and ends of life, or being able to decide to try and impose your religious beliefs to constrain the behavior of your employees, because that's what they're trying to do. If their employees all agreed with them, if their employees all thought that God's will was the same thing that the owners of Hobby Lobby think God's will is, there wouldn't be an issue here, would they? Because they could give the insurance, whatever insurance, and they could rest assured that their employees would choose like they would.
The question in Hobby Lobby is whose freedom is being infringed upon. Employees' freedom is not infringed upon when they enter into a consensual relationship with an employer that includes certain types of health care.
It's not consensual.
Of course it is. They can quit. Who is forcing them? Where is the gun? Where is the gun? Who is forcing them? Where is the chain? Who is locking them to their desk?
Stop with the gun language.
The reason that I use the gun language is because it is vitally important for people to understand that every government measure at the end of the day it must be compelled by force. That's what government measures are for. There is a vast difference, a huge difference in terms of personal liberty and freedom between the government compelling behavior and a company saying that we are not going to provide certain types of coverage, and if you don't like that, you can quit or buy your own coverage. There's a vast difference. The gun's the whole issue.
Health insurance is an earned benefit. It's not given for free to employees. They earn it. Should your employer be able to decide how you spend your money?
It is, hold up. Hold on. One second. Earned from whom? Okay, I may think that I earn twice the salary that I get from this radio station. That doesn't mean that I have an earned benefit from the radio station for twice what they're willing to pay me. It's always a consensual relationship.
You pay for your health care.
Well, first of all, I do because it was negotiated in the contract that I signed, in which I voluntarily engaged. And if I don't like that, I can quit tomorrow.
I think...
And let me say...
Michael, let me just introduce a third case. They're all related. It'll be just fine. There's a similar case still in the courts from Washington State where the State Pharmacy Board, after initially allowing for religious exemptions, came under pressure from former Governor Gregoire to mandate that pharmacies and pharmacists provide Plan B regardless of religious convictions. That act is widely seen as targeting Ralph's Thriftway in Olympia and its owner, Kevin Stormans. 2 individual pharmacists also felt that providing Plan B would violate their religious freedoms. They're also involved in the suit. Was the State Pharmacy Board correct in trying to compel Ralph's Pharmacy, despite the fact that there were multiple pharmacies within a short time that were offering the same thing, or the thing that was requested, Plan B?
Obviously, it's outrageous. And so much of this is outrageous. And I want to go back to a point that Ben has made, and who's made so wonderfully forcefully, which is you're literally talking about force here. And to bring up yet another case that we've all touched upon, Arnett's Flowers, the Attorney General of the state of Washington, the Honorable Bob Ferguson, has agreed that ultimately, if there is a refusal to acknowledge and pay fines and to make up for the fact that she chooses not to provide flowers for a wedding that she doesn't want to work for, that she could go to jail. That's force. My wife and I, my wife is here, and we're planning the wedding of our son on August 31st. Actually, that's true. That's true. I'll cop to that. But I'm signing a whole lot of checks. And in any event, so I cannot imagine that we would want to compel a florist who didn't want to service our particular wedding. It seems to me that this is an area, honestly, and I know James and Monica and Valerie, you're all people of conscience. I mean, surely you must see the injustice and the threat to religious liberty in this. Especially when this is not denying people the right to marry. They have the right to marry in Washington State. She even provided a list of other florists who she knew would be happy to serve them. She was not discriminating against gay people. She had served these two people as individual clients on many occasions before. What she was saying is, this is a wedding that I choose not to participate in. Shouldn't someone have the basic right to say no?
Yeah, I think it just goes, Michael, I think it goes back to who gets to discriminate. Yeah. And where would it stop? What if it was a Jewish wedding? Okay, no, bear with me. And the florist said, I don't want to participate in that kind of religious system.
I would find another florist, happily.
Yeah, okay. But once we set that kind of precedence, where will it end? And I think,
with them going out of business. Because everybody will find another florist. That's where it'll end.
No, that's all cute. That's all cute.
That's not cute. That's real. The lunch counter protests the lunch counter protests that are so famous in the civil rights movement occurred as a voluntary boycott in the early 60s, long before the civil rights movement, and it integrated. They integrated the business because of that. Capitalism discriminates against no color, no creed, and no sexuality. They want the cash.
Integration was done by force.
Yeah.
Against state government.
Most whites did not want to
you live a very comfortable life. If you're going to talk about civil rights, let's talk about what happened for people trying to get served.
Let's make sure we're hearing
against state governments that were compelling segregation.
One second, Ben. Let's make sure we're hearing each other. What was it that, Ben, you concluded with? It was
Woolworths.
It was state governments.
What I was saying there is that state governments were the source of segregation in the first place. People who think that Jim Crow was a voluntary system in which people just decided that they wanted to segregate their businesses are incorrect. There were Jim Crow laws on the books. The law in the state of Alabama is that you needed a 7-foot-high wall in your restaurant. Okay, this idea that the government always has clean hands and that it's individuals who are the problem, and that capitalism, in the absence of government compulsion, is not the solution to discrimination, must have missed the last 50-odd years of history in this country.
Let's have the Reverend. You had something.
I think Ben, the enormous inequality in our economic system is in part because of your divine term, freedom, and to think that. Okay, hey, bear with me. To think that freedom is always the answer. It's always the answer, isn't it?
Hold up. I would like to...
history, folks.
Why do you believe that government compulsion is always the answer? Read history.
You turn... Okay, Ben, this is great. I should use your trick. Because government is always the problem. It is always the problem.
Pretty much.
Frankly, friend, Jefferson created the possibility of a constitution that allowed for your religious liberties. That is not the problem.
My religious liberties, and the founders believe this, were secured by the government
was created
on behalf of
for
God.
the sake of your freedom.
It was created for the sake of my freedom, but it doesn't get to curtail my freedom.
And the government guarantees it, and if we don't have policemen, firemen, it would be chaos.
Of course that's true, but the minute that the government infringes on my freedom, it becomes irrelevant and it becomes unconstitutional, and this is... Jefferson didn't just institute a government, he rebelled against one.
We're talking about religious freedom specific.
Of what's happening in the community, and I think it's a symptom. The uprisings are a symptom of a pressure that's been unaddressed for too long.
I'm offended by the language of uprising applied to people who are breaking into other black people's stores and looting them. Gotcha, this is a lack of values. And people who are destroying private property, destroying cop cars, in an uprising against what exactly? Against the black police chief, against the mostly minority police force, against the black mayor, against the black president, against the black attorney general, against against a city council that is 9 of 15 are black and all 15 are elected Democrats. What is the uprising against? What is it seeking to achieve? I still don't see what exactly the riots are seeking to achieve. Bottom line is, it all could be boiled down to just act like a mensch. Act like a human being. Honestly, it's not useful to riot, it's not useful to break things, it's not useful to throw rocks at people. And the idea that we're supposed to correlate your level of outrage with a certain level of justification, in other words, the more outraged you are and the more angry you are, the more